What if I told you that the most accurate measure of how fast someone is truly aging has nothing to do with the number on their birth certificate? It's not their blood pressure reading. It's not even their cholesterol levels. It's something most physicians rarely test for: the number and vitality of stem cells circulating through their bloodstream. That single metric reveals something profound. It reflects your body's capacity to detect damage and fix it. It determines whether your tissues are quietly renewing themselves while you sleep or slowly breaking down without you noticing. And here's the part that should reframe how you think about aging entirely. That number is not locked in. It is not predetermined from the day you were born. It responds directly, measurably, and in some cases quite dramatically, to what you choose to eat. Emerging research suggests that one humble root vegetable, affordable, available at virtually any grocery store, may be capable of significantly boosting circulating stem cell counts in a matter of weeks. And beyond that, it appears to influence markers of biological aging at the deepest cellular level. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what that vegetable is, how the science behind it works, and a precise protocol for incorporating it into your daily routine, starting as early as tomorrow morning. Disclaimer: this video is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not medical advice. Always consult your physician before making changes to your diet or health routine, especially if you have existing health conditions or are taking medication. Most of us grow up accepting a particular story about aging. The story says that after a certain birthday, the body simply stops keeping up with its own wear and tear. That decline is inevitable, and all you can do is slow it down a little. Most of us accept that story without question, but that story is incomplete. After spending many years in clinical medicine and preventive care, observing patients whose recoveries defied textbook expectations, one question kept surfacing: why do certain individuals heal faster, maintain sharper cognition, and resist disease well into their later decades, while others who follow seemingly identical health recommendations deteriorate much sooner? The answer didn't lie in any single pharmaceutical. It wasn't hiding in a supplement bottle. It was rooted in something far more fundamental: what was actually happening inside their cells, day after day after day. And that, as the research increasingly shows, has everything to do with stem cell activity. And stem cell activity, it turns out, has everything to do with what you eat. Now, before we go any further, stem cells and cellular biology can sound intimidating, but I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll understand why this matters and exactly what to do about it. So, let me give you a roadmap of what we're covering today. First, why stem cell activity, more than chronological age or even genetics, may be the strongest predictor of how you'll feel and function in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Second, the specific root vegetable that peer-reviewed research has linked to significant increases in circulating stem cell counts. Third, 3 distinct biological mechanisms that explain how this vegetable works at the cellular level, so you understand this is grounded in real science, not a wellness trend. Fourth, a detailed morning protocol covering doses, preparation methods, and timing to help maximize the benefits. Fifth, the 4 most common mistakes people make with this food that can neutralize its effects. And sixth, a simple marker you can track at home to gauge whether this approach is actually making a difference in your body. Quick favor before we dive in. I hear from people all the time who've watched multiple videos on this channel before realizing they weren't subscribed. If that's you, would you take 2 seconds to check? It's free, and it helps this channel reach more people who want genuine, science-informed health content. Let me set up a framework before I reveal the vegetable, because without it, the research won't land the way it should. Picture your body as a living city, not a static one, but a metropolis that's constantly under construction. Roads are cracking, pipes are corroding, buildings are developing hairline fractures in their foundations. And every single night, a massive maintenance crew fans out across that city to assess the damage and begin repairs. Those workers are your stem cells. In a young body, that crew is enormous. It's efficient, it's fast, damage gets identified quickly, Repairs happen overnight. You feel the evidence of it. Faster recovery after a hard workout, sharper mental focus, skin that bounces back, organs that hum along at peak performance. Now here's what happens as the years accumulate. And this is the part that deserves far more attention than it gets. That crew doesn't vanish. It shrinks. It slows down. Your bone marrow, which serves as the primary factory producing these cellular repair workers, gradually reduces its output. And the stem cells that do get released become less responsive. They sit idle, waiting for a signal strong enough to mobilize them. And that signal becomes harder and harder to generate. By the time most adults reach their mid-60s, research using flow cytometry, a laboratory technique that counts specific cell populations in the blood with remarkable precision, indicates that circulating stem cell levels may have dropped substantially compared to levels measured in younger adults. Some studies suggest this decline could be as much as 50% or more of the original repair workforce. But, and this is critical, that decline is not a life sentence. It's a condition. And conditions can be changed. This is where the story of the beetroot begins. Beetroot, Beta vulgaris, that deep, richly pigmented root vegetable that many people dismiss as nothing more than a salad topping, contains a remarkable convergence of bioactive compounds. These compounds appear to stimulate the very biological pathways responsible for telling your bone marrow to produce more stem cells, and for telling those stem cells to enter the bloodstream where they can actually reach damaged tissues and do their repair work. Think of it this way. Your maintenance crew has been sitting by the phone, waiting for someone to call them back to the job site. Beetroot picks up that phone, and it dials 3 different lines simultaneously. Let me walk you through each of those 3 lines, because this isn't just one mechanism. It's 3 working in concert. And understanding all 3 is what allows you to use this food strategically rather than haphazardly. Pathway number 1. Nitric oxide and eNOS activation. Beetroot is one of the most concentrated natural dietary sources of inorganic nitrate found anywhere in the plant kingdom. When you consume it, a fascinating conversion process begins. Bacteria in your mouth convert the nitrate into nitrite. And then, in the mildly acidic environment of your stomach, that nitrite is further converted into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a signaling molecule your body already produces naturally, but here's the catch. Its production declines meaningfully with age. Why does this matter for stem cells specifically? Because nitric oxide activates an enzyme called eNOS, endothelial nitric oxide synthase. eNOS acts as one of the primary molecular triggers for stem cell mobilization from the bone marrow. When eNOS is active, it sends signals that accelerate the release of progenitor cells into the bloodstream. Think of eNOS as the dispatch center for your repair crews. In youth, that dispatch center runs around the clock. By midlife, it's running half shifts. Dietary nitrate from beetroot essentially turns the night shift back on. But there's a second function here that often gets overlooked. Nitric oxide also dilates blood vessels, all of them, including the tiny capillaries that thread through your tissues. Wider vessels mean better delivery of those newly mobilized stem cells to actual sites of damage. You're not just producing more repair workers, you're clearing the roads so they can reach the construction sites. Pathway number 2. Betalains and inflammation control. Here's where things get especially interesting. Stem cells are remarkably sensitive to their chemical surroundings. When the body is stuck in a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation, what researchers sometimes call inflammaging, that quiet, smoldering background inflammation that builds up silently over the decades, stem cells become functionally compromised. They receive garbled instructions. They differentiate into wrong cell types. They lose their regenerative sharpness. Chronic inflammation is like static on a radio frequency. The stem cells are trying to receive a clear signal, and they simply can't. Beetroot contains a class of powerful antioxidant pigments called betalains. These are the compounds responsible for that vivid, almost impossibly deep crimson color. Published research shows that betalains are among the most potent natural inhibitors of NF-κB, which is the master transcription factor governing inflammatory gene expression throughout the body. When NF-κB is chronically overactive, which is the default state in many aging adults, it floods the system with pro-inflammatory cytokines that impair stem cell function. When betalains quiet that NF-κB activity, the static clears. Stem cells receive clean signals again. Their regenerative capacity begins to recover. In laboratory studies evaluating inflammatory markers before and after beetroot supplementation, researchers have documented reductions in C-reactive protein and interleukin-6 that are noteworthy, in some cases comparable in magnitude to certain anti-inflammatory medications, without the associated side effects. Pathway number 3. Betaine and epigenetic reprogramming. This is the mechanism that truly stopped me in my tracks when I first encountered the research, because this one doesn't just support stem cell function. It has the potential to address the epigenetic changes that contribute to stem cell decline in the first place. Beetroot is exceptionally rich in betaine, a compound derived from the amino acid glycine. Betaine serves as a critical methyl donor in the body. Methylation is the biochemical process by which small chemical tags are attached to your DNA, not altering the genetic code itself, but determining which genes are switched on and which are switched off. Think of it as the volume knobs on a genetic orchestra. As we age, specific genes responsible for stem cell self-renewal gradually get turned down through altered methylation patterns. The music fades. Betaine, by supporting healthy methylation balance, helps restore appropriate expression of those genes, essentially turning the volume back up on the parts of your DNA that governs cellular regeneration. This isn't just theoretical. Research published in peer-reviewed journals has demonstrated that adequate betaine status correlates with slower epigenetic age acceleration, meaning people with higher betaine levels tend to age more slowly at the DNA level, even when researchers control for lifestyle factors. And beetroot happens to be one of the richest dietary sources of betaine available. Now let me point you to some of the specific research so you can evaluate the evidence yourself. Studies at several major universities have examined the effects of daily beetroot juice consumption in older adults. In controlled trials, participants consuming concentrated beetroot juice daily for several weeks showed measurable increases in circulating CD34-positive progenitor cells, the specific stem cells responsible for blood vessel repair and tissue regeneration. These were quantifiable biological changes confirmed through flow cytometry under controlled laboratory conditions, not subjective reports of feeling better. Research on dietary nitrate supplementation, at doses equivalent to roughly 2 medium beets daily, has demonstrated measurable improvements in endothelial function in older adults. The researchers noted that improvements of this magnitude typically require pharmaceutical intervention, yet here they were achieved through a whole food. Studies out of Penn State University have shown that betaine supplementation at levels achievable through whole food beetroot consumption produces statistically significant reductions in plasma homocysteine, one of the most consistent biomarkers of accelerated biological aging and impaired DNA repair. And research examining betalain-rich beetroot extract has documented meaningful reductions in NF-κB activation in human cell cultures, with corresponding decreases in inflammatory markers like IL-6 and TNF-alpha in subsequent human trials. Multiple independent lines of evidence pointing toward the same conclusion. This root vegetable operates at the biological intersection of stem cell mobilization, inflammation management, and epigenetic health. The morning protocol. Exactly how to do this. Here is the protocol, grounded in what the research supports. Doses, timing, preparation, and sequencing all matter. Start with approximately 140 to 250 milliliters of cold-pressed beetroot juice, consumed on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. Cold-pressed matters. Heat processing destroys a significant portion of the nitrate content. Look for juice where beetroot is the primary ingredient, with no added sugars or filler juices. Drink it before anything else, including coffee. Caffeine temporarily constricts blood vessels and may blunt the nitric oxide response you're trying to generate. If you prefer whole beets, roughly 200 to 250 grams of raw or lightly steamed beet provides a comparable nitrate dose. Avoid boiling. It leaches the nitrates and betalains into the water. If you steam or roast, keep cooking time to 15 to 20 minutes. A medium beetroot weighs roughly 80 to 100 grams, so you're looking at about 2 medium beets. Consider adding a thumb-sized piece of fresh ginger to your beetroot juice or blending it into a smoothie. Ginger contains gingerols and shogaols that independently suppress NF-κB activity, amplifying the anti-inflammatory effect of the betalains. Research suggests this combination may produce additive reductions in inflammatory cytokine production beyond either compound alone. Follow the beetroot with green tea, steeped at around 175 degrees Fahrenheit, never at a full boil, for 3 to 5 minutes. The EGCG in green tea has documented effects that complement the nitric oxide pathway from beetroot. Together, they may support both stem cell mobilization and the formation of healthy new blood vessel networks. Don't add cow's milk. The casein proteins can bind EGCG and reduce its absorption significantly. A squeeze of lemon enhances catechin bioavailability. 3 to 4 times per week, add a tablespoon of ground flaxseed to your morning meal alongside the beetroot. Flaxseed provides lignans that modulate NF-κB signaling, as well as ALA omega-3 fatty acids shown to support stem cell membrane integrity. Ground flaxseed absorbs far better than whole seeds. The hull of whole seeds is essentially indigestible. 2 to 3 times per week, include a cup of cooked lentils with lunch or dinner. Lentils are among the richest dietary sources of folate, a B vitamin that works hand in hand with betaine in the 1-carbon methylation cycle. Both are required for optimal DNA methylation patterns. Without adequate folate, the betaine from beetroot is working at half capacity. Once per week, incorporate a serving of wild-caught salmon, roughly 150 grams. The marine-sourced omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA, have been specifically linked to stem cell membrane fluidity, which determines how responsive those cells are to mobilization signals. Clinical tips for maximizing results. Here's what experience has shown to matter most for people serious about making this protocol work. Time your beetroot consumption 60 to 90 minutes before any morning exercise. The nitric oxide peak from dietary nitrate occurs approximately 60 to 90 minutes after consumption. Exercising during that window combines peak stem cell mobilization signals with the additional growth factor release that physical activity independently triggers. Do not use antibacterial mouthwash in the morning, either before or after consuming beetroot. This sounds counterintuitive, but it's critically important. The nitrate to nitrite conversion that initiates the entire nitric oxide cascade depends on specific bacteria living in your mouth. Antibacterial mouthwash wipes out those bacteria. Research from the University of Plymouth demonstrated that using mouthwash before nitrate consumption can reduce the resulting blood pressure lowering effect, a proxy for nitric oxide production, by a dramatic margin. Save your mouthwash routine for the evening. Your urine may turn pink or reddish after consuming beetroot. This is called beeturia. It is completely harmless and actually serves as a useful compliance marker. It indicates your digestive system absorbed the betalains. Roughly 10 to 15% of people won't produce this color change, even with high beetroot intake, which simply reflects faster metabolic processing. Either way, it's not blood and doesn't warrant a trip to the doctor. Frozen beetroot retains essentially the same nitrate and betalain content as fresh. If fresh beets aren't available or convenient, frozen beets blended into a smoothie work just as well. And above all, consistency over 6 weeks matters far more than any single large dose. The epigenetic effects from betaine accumulate slowly. The stem cell mobilization benefits from nitrate, while more immediate, require sustained, regular intake to produce lasting changes. Think of this as a 6-week commitment, not a 3-day experiment. The 4 mistakes that can cancel the benefits. I see these errors repeatedly, and each one can meaningfully reduce or entirely eliminate the effects of this protocol. Mistake number 1. Using beet powder supplements instead of whole food or cold-pressed juice. Most commercial beet powders undergo high heat processing that can destroy a substantial portion of the nitrate content. Additionally, betalain concentrations in powder form are often a fraction of what's found in whole beet. If you must use a supplement, look specifically for cold process extraction with standardized nitrate content listed on the label, but whole food is always the better choice. Mistake number 2. Using antibacterial mouthwash in the morning. I've mentioned this already, but it's worth repeating because the mechanism is so counterintuitive. Antibacterial mouthwash doesn't just freshen your breath, it eliminates the very bacteria your body needs to convert dietary nitrate into nitric oxide. Shift your oral care routine to the evening. Mistake number 3. Expecting results within 3 to 5 days and giving up. The research showing significant stem cell increases was conducted over a period of 6 weeks. The epigenetic methylation effects from betaine unfold over an even longer timeline. Your body is rebuilding biological machinery that has been declining for decades. Give it the time the science indicates it needs. Mistake number 4. Combining beetroot juice with a high-sugar breakfast. The blood glucose spike that follows a sugary meal triggers oxidative stress and acute NF-κB activation, the exact inflammatory pathway that betalains are working to suppress. You'd be fighting yourself. Pair your beetroot with a protein-anchored, low-glycemic morning meal. Eggs, Greek yogurt, oats, nuts. Let the anti-inflammatory compounds do their work without generating the very inflammation they're trying to counter. Now, let me share an example that illustrates why the numbers matter, because sometimes the human picture clarifies what data alone cannot. This is a composite example based on common clinical patterns, with all identifying details adjusted for privacy. Imagine a man in his early 60s, retired engineer, sharp mind. But physically, he'd been sliding for 4 or 5 years. Fatigue that sleep couldn't fix. Muscle soreness after light exercise lasting 3 or 4 days. A mental fogginess he described as watching my brain through frosted glass. His blood work was broadly normal. His doctors told him it was just aging. He'd accepted it. One significant change was made to his morning routine. Cold-pressed beetroot juice, about 150 milliliters every morning before coffee, paired with green tea mid-morning and the addition of lentils to lunch several times a week. No other changes, no new medications, no expensive supplements. After about 8 weeks, the shift was noticeable. Energy substantially improved. Muscle recovery dropped from 3 to 4 days down to roughly 1. The frosted glass, as he put it, started to clear. A basic inflammatory panel showed his C-reactive protein, which had been sitting in a range associated with elevated cardiovascular risk, had come down into a much healthier zone. He wasn't genetically special. He wasn't lucky. He simply provided his body with the specific molecular building blocks it needed to do what it was already designed to do. And in clinical experience, this pattern tends to repeat. The body's regenerative capacity appears to be far more recoverable than many of us have been led to believe. Let me bring everything together clearly. Stem cell activity, not the number of candles on your birthday cake, plays a central role in determining how quickly your body repairs itself and how rapidly you biologically age. Stem cell counts in most adults decline significantly by their mid-60s, but growing evidence suggests this decline is not a one-way street. Beetroot appears to work through 3 simultaneous biological pathways. Dietary nitrate that activates eNOS and mobilizes stem cells. Betalains that suppress the NF-κB inflammatory cascade impairing stem cell function. And betaine that supports the methylation cycle required for healthy expression of stem cell renewal genes. Controlled research has shown measurable increases in circulating CD34-positive progenitor cells after several weeks of daily beetroot juice consumption. Laboratory-confirmed biological changes, not guesswork. The protocol: 140 to 250 milliliters of cold-pressed beetroot juice on an empty stomach, or roughly 200 grams of whole beet, lightly steamed or raw, followed by green tea brewed at 175 degrees with lemon. Supplement with ground flaxseed, lentils, and weekly wild salmon. No antibacterial mouthwash in the morning. Avoid the 4 mistakes: heat-processed beet powder, morning mouthwash, impatience, and pairing beetroot with sugary food. Give it 6 weeks, track your energy levels, your recovery after physical activity, and if you have access to basic lab work, your C-reactive protein. Those data points will tell you what's actually shifting inside. Your health trajectory is not sealed by your genes or your age. It is shaped powerfully, measurably, continuously by what you choose to put in your body each morning. You have far more influence over this than anyone has told you. If this video gave you something genuinely useful, please share it with someone who needs it. A parent, a partner, a friend who's been told that their decline is just a natural part of getting older. Because that story, that aging is simply something that happens to you, something you're helpless against, is a story worth challenging. Subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a like on this video. It signals to the platform that this content is worth recommending, and it helps this channel reach more people who are searching for real, evidence-based health information. In the next video, I'm going to break down what may be the second most underappreciated driver of biological aging, one that has nothing to do with diet and everything to do with a 20-minute habit most people only practice on weekends. You won't want to miss it. I'll see you in the next one.